So I did my tier list recently, and I was talking about a whole bunch of different weapons. Namely, I have like the top echelon, the A tier, and the S tier, and those are pretty firmly ranked. Um, nothing, nothing too interesting that should be able to unstable or whatever the word is. Nothing should shake those up. Pretty much, it's just so strong right now. But I mean, right now, in the Ashlands, things could probably change a great big deal. So, namely, we look at the chart, right? All the undead and everything. And the big question is okay, fire lands, but enemies undead? What's the deal elemental wise? What are they going to be weak to, resistant to? What are their damage types going to look like? And this puts an interesting conundrum on my favorite run right now, which is the sword main. Yeah, we have access to a lot. So we have pure physical in the Crom, which if enemies aren't resistant to slash like the main ones were in the Mistlands, okay, this is going to be a lot better. Very cool. If they aren't resistant to frost and slash, then the Mistwalker does really well. If they're really resistant to frost, then Silver Sword might do really well, because that's 138, and that's honestly like more total damage than the Mistwalker, even if they don't take Spirit. But this one has control, so if they do take Frost, it's better, even though it has less total damage. And if there's a lot of opportunity for like multi-attack, and you just want pure staggering, then like the Black Metal Sword is going to be the option. So it's going to be really difficult, like, what do I bring? What do I bring into the Ashlands as a sword person? And also, like, they're going to be immune to fire, right? So Staff of Embers, that's going to be half blunt. But that's going to have all sorts of utility because it's super ranged to AoE. It's got no aggro radius. There's so much going on there. Plus, there's high visibility. And you have easy shots with Arbalest. It's like, okay, well, this is just going to devastate everything unless there are a lot of things resistant to Pierce. In which case, maybe Black Metal Atgear are not as good as him and Awful, like if things aren't resistant to lightning, which I don't think they will be. But we might have even more like piercing options dominance, like that we've seen up until the Mistlands. We might see that return if enemies are not resistant to Pierce. In which case, we would be banking on an additional elemental bolt option for the Arbalest to remain super good. We already have our elemental options with Bow. If enemies take Spirit, we can just use Spine Snap plus Spirit Arrows as a ranged option. Sure, it doesn't have any control, but the range and damage is already going to be solid enough for it to be great. It's tricky. It's tricky, and you can see the inventory is filling up a lot. Volcanic Plumes are usually toxic, so maybe Poison Mead good. I know Fire Res is going to be amazing. Got Full Fenris as a swap here. Of course, your core potions as a physical build. Medium Healing Mead, Tasty Mead, Lingering Stamina are going to crush your encounters just fine. That should be wonderful. Classic food is classic. Probably going to want to stock up on fish and bread and all that good stuff, if you can. I mean, I don't think it's going to be too brutal if you don't get too much of that. I just stock up a couple for like the Queen. That's about it in my runs. But it is really good having them around. Like big infested mines, popping infested bread. Ugh, nasty. Pop a fish and bread, clear that infested mine, you're chilling. Like that's great. But hey, like it's gonna be an interesting thing. Like maybe there will be some enemies that are resistant to frost, take Spirit. Maybe there will be some enemies that are immune to Spirit but take frost, and so things become very interesting. It might just be Crom Mistwalker that's optimal, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see the return of the Silver Sword, and maybe the Black Metal Sword. Keep an eye on this thing. It's 100% physical, 100% staggering. I know that it's going to be outclassed by the Lightning Needhog. So lightning is taken into account with staggering, and you'd be using this for the staggering and just pure slashing. So I don't know. They would have to be resistant to lightning, which I highly doubt it. But yeah, pretty sure the Needhog is just going to outclass the Black Metal Sword. So probably just still skippable as a weapon. Silver Sword's probably going to pull its weight. I don't know if Serpent Scale Shield's going to be good. It depends on the amount of piercing enemies. There's been so much pierce-resistant dominance in these past biomes. I really don't know if they're going to add any more. If I had to guess, I would say there would be not, because there's the one Charred Mage, and the Charred Mage, well, that's going to be most likely just the solo Charred range option. The Fallen Valkyrie might have something as well. Oh, if the Fallen Valkyrie has like a beak attack, that's going to be piercing, so that's something to look after. Although the Wolf Bites are slash, and you'd think they would be at least part pierce, but they're 100% slash. So who knows? We'll have to keep a good eye on it, but it's very interesting to see, like, all of these current top tier options, all of your options that seem set in stone right now, they're very, very malleable depending on the situation and the enemy type resistances and weaknesses that the Ashlands mobs are going to have. So, super exciting times. I will keep you up to date on all sorts of Ashlands information and news, and especially Hilda's Quest stuff that's coming out soon. That will probably have an impact on things, so I don't really want to make Mistlands like area guides, like Overworld guide or Infested Mine guide or Queen guide, because I think that I'm like 80% on the side that Hilda's Quest is going to have gear or some sort of reward that's actually going to be mechanically optimal and hugely impactful. Like, you remember the root set, like how impactful that was. That was just like, oh, well, we feel like Swamp should have a boss monster. Let's have it. Well, it's got to have drops. Okay, well, what do the drops do? Okay, well, we craft armor. Well, what does the armor do? And then it leads you down the spiral of one of the most impactful sets and one of the most impactful pieces of armor in the entire game. That being the root set and the root harness. So we have some interesting developments and things to keep in mind for the future of Valheim. I hope you enjoyed this little analysis. So what do you think that the Ashlands mobs will be weak to? Will they take Spirit? Will they take Frost? How about Lightning? Do you think there'll be poison in the Ashlands or just fire? What about getting smoked out? That's a real possibility. Maybe a smog potion? Who knows? Alright, super exciting. I can't wait for more Ashlands teasers, more news on both of these updates that are coming up. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys some other time. Bye.